When there's a crash, I hope it's going to be during this next 12 months, because I don't want to be Herbert Hoover. The one president, I just don't want to be Herbert Hoover.
Donald Trump is the only president in American history, other than Herbert Hoover, who lost more jobs than he had when he came in. That's why I call him Donald Herbert Hoover Trump.
I mean, frankly, in the last administration, we're playing a lot of defense. Right. There was an all-out assault on not just crypto, but individual retail trading in general, with market structure proposals, predictive data analytics, which is basically an assault on AI and financial services. So now, we're fortunate to have, an administration that wants the U.S. to be number one in AI and financial services and crypto.
Bitcoin correlates very well with tech stocks, which is not surprising. At the end of the day, cryptocurrencies are a form of fintech. So when you see, the Mag 7 come down, it's not shocking to me to see Bitcoin come down. If that sell-off, if Nvidia disappoints tomorrow, I think you see Bitcoin going down further. But it gets me back to our Treasury point earlier. President Trump, in one of his executive orders, is very explicitly supporting the development of digital assets and crypto, and specifically stablecoin. And I want to highlight this because to the degree stablecoins gather momentum, gather assets, they're backed by the dollar ones are backed by treasuries and other cash-like assets. This is a source of demand for treasuries that I think Treasury Secretary Bessent is keeping a close eye on. Tether, just has something like $113 billion worth of Treasury and Treasury-like securities today.
Rebecca, is this plunging below $90,000, hitting a 3-month low? The cryptocurrency now nearly 20% below. That's bad news for Strategy, formerly known as MicroStrategy. The Bitcoin proxy play falling nearly 13% today. Our own Tanea McKeel has more of these moves. Tanea.
Yeah, Melissa, Bitcoin sort of at a critical juncture here if you're not a long-term holder, hovering under 90K, which is the bottom of the range Bitcoin's been trading in for the past 3 months. And then MicroStrategy, you said it, lowest close since the election after it just bought more Bitcoin yesterday. And what you're seeing here is definitely part of the overall risk-off move in markets. I know that there was a huge crypto hack last week, biggest in history. And it is interesting because bullish sentiment in crypto and the enthusiasm around our new pro-crypto administration is still very high. And the thing is that since we got Trump's executive order on crypto at the end of January, which I think was widely anticipated and for the most part very well received, crypto investors haven't had a clear catalyst to get them through now. So investors I spoke with today say there's certainly room for Bitcoin to pull back, maybe all the way to 70K if it doesn't retake 90K until we get that catalyst.
The most scrutinized agencies of the moment. So what's happening and what we know is that SpaceX is going to implant the Starlink's terminals into the FAA to help improve and boost the critical IT infrastructure in the FAA, and that would help overall improve and help support the national airspace system. But this does raise, as you say, a lot of questions about increasingly that conflict of interest between Musk and his business ties and the political ties that this entails and involves. And obviously not least for the fact that this existing contract, $2 billion worth of it with Verizon, and that remains to be seen what happens as a result of that. But this deal involves some 4,000 Starlink terminals that Musk personally had approved, and going forward, now these will be tested. So this does seem to have a long shelf life potentially in terms of this relationship. But again, this all is to improve the US airspace system, not least after the mid-air collision in DC in late January.
So what's Elon Musk had to say about the reporting?
Well, Elon Musk has, in effect, confirmed parts of it, effectively trashing Verizon, saying its product was not up to standard, and this is where Starlink and SpaceX comes in. And the FAA has also confirmed that they will be doing some testing with Starlink as well.
Welcome to the Crypto Teacher. And I come back with that video just to make you think.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.
And make sure you're joining the Patrons. If you're not a part of the Patrons, make sure you're hitting the Cash App. And also, guys, make sure you go like and follow the TikTok. More videos to come. And we have the Robinhood CEO in the new administration, being crypto friendly. But now, as Gary Gensler is out, crypto is going to be set up to take the hit for this legacy market crumbling. And remember, the crypto teacher told you. And we have Bitcoin and the NASDAQ, of course, tech, being correlated due to all the money print. Never forget, they printed 80% of all money in existence in 2 years. So what would you expect? A whole lot of inflation, and they had to put that money somewhere. So what did they do? They put it in the stock market. Now it's time to pull it out and start building. So we will see shrinking of liquidity, but don't forget the goal. And that's these digital assets, the machines taking over the economy, and these stable coins are the foundation of the new economy. But don't forget, this is a plan. It moves in phases. And we had the year-end Trump pump, and now we've given a lot back. And we know the Fed hasn't cut yet because they want to keep these rates high for longer to destroy this legacy market so Trump can build this fourth industrial revolution. Whether robots, algorithms, and drones take the economy over, pay each other with crypto, and the sheep go inside the metaverse. And we have the FAA network get Starlink, ditching Verizon. And Elon says Verizon wasn't working. Guys, you can't make this stuff up. Remember, your life is an illusion, and TV is your reality. And that Verizon contract was $2 billion. So we know layoffs will definitely be coming. And then we have Trump on the Fed employees. Want to shrink the size of government, but people don't understand why. And it's all for this digital economy. And we have Trump making a deal with Ukraine when it comes to the minerals. And we know BlackRock has a contract to rebuild. Guys, remember, every single drums are beaten. We know the banks were behind it. They play both sides to get paid. At the start of the drums are beaten, and at the end of the drums are beaten. And remember, the crypto teacher told you. And I thought this was funny. Talking about spirits. It's called spirits for a reason. And as layoffs start to pick up, we know a lot of spirits are going to be sold. And remember, the crypto teacher told you. And we have Rick Reader of BlackRock saying that stocks are pulling back due to the uncertainty. We have the tariffs, we have the Fed staying put. And guys, like I told you, the first quarter of every year, we always pull back. The only reason why we didn't pull back when Janet Yellen was in there was because, of course, she did the emergency and she was able to flood the market with Fed money. But like I told you, this is not the crash. We have the Fed with plenty of ammo, and then also Scott Bessent has ammo also. So once the Fed uses up that 200 basis points, the BOJ starts to raise rates on a consistent basis, and the BRICS make that move off the dollar. That's when we know we'll be in trouble. And remember, the crypto teacher told you. And then we have the big day for Nvidia, which is going to affect all tech and then also crypto. And I see Nvidia definitely beating the numbers, but not in a big way. And we know for a fact it's definitely not worth $3 trillion, which is ridiculous. I don't care if you are trying to price it in for the valuation of the fourth industrial revolution, because you have other competitors. But remember, guys, they printed so much money, they needed to put it somewhere. Now they're going to step up these distractions because it's time to build. And remember, the crypto teacher told you, because he knows when it comes to the NWO, it's all planned out. You have a wonderful day.
It's somewhat voluntary, but it's also, if you don't answer, I guess you get fired. What it really is, do people exist? We have this massive government with millions of people, and nobody knows who's working for the government, who's not. So what they're doing is they're sending out a letter to everybody, and they're saying, what were the things you did last week? I guess they ask for 5. And if people are working, it's easy. I could tell you 5 things I did last week. I could tell you 5 things I did 6 weeks ago.
Ukraine has agreed with the U.S. on a deal to jointly develop its critical minerals, oil and gas, people familiar with the matter said, and what the White House sees as a first step toward reaching a ceasefire with Russia.
The consumption is coming back in the spirits business.
Why? I thought that people were kind of down on alcohol these days.
Not really, because people drink. Don't forget about that. You drink, right?
I do. Enjoy it in moderation.
Yeah, and
combination of factors. Whenever you move like this, pinpointing what is the dynamic is pretty hard. No doubt, sort of retail sales, Walmart's projections, some of the other numbers were a bit softer. So a little bit of growth. And then I would argue there's a little bit of momentum that's coming out. There's a little bit of leverage unwind that's coming out. It'd be interesting to hear what Tony says about positioning relative to that. I think there's a lot of degrossing that's taking place. That is, and the liquidity in the markets, given, I think risk premia has gone up because the uncertainty is so high. And so the depth of some of these markets, single name index, and by the way, cutting across also the rates market, it's just, people are very uncertain, and you see jumpy markets.
It wasn't supposed to be this way. I mean, everything but the Dow is negative since the inauguration. I mean, and the Dow just barely positive since the inauguration. That wasn't the playbook.
No, it's been pretty, it's been quite a ride. I mean, like I say, a lot of this comes up because policy uncertainty is just out there. When are we going to get tariffs? What types of tariffs? What's the relationship U.S.-China? Putting all that together, anybody who can tell you, gosh, I've figured out my model on growth or inflation without a wide error band, I think is lying. You can't do it. And that's why you get these jittery markets and why risk premia has gone up.
It sounds like you are talking about a lot of the same things that, let's say, Ken Griffin of Citadel has talked about in the last few weeks. A lot of uncertainty around tariff policy, a lot of uncertainty around what have been our alliances for decades, seemingly being unraveled. Is that going to be a constant overhang on this market?
So I think it's why risk premium is higher. I think it's why the liquidity in the markets is going to be higher. Listen, at the end, I'm doing a presentation Thursday on zooming out. And so actually the title of it's going to be, you can see better sometimes when you take off your reading glasses. And so the reason why I describe it as such is if you focus on every single headline, you can really get distracted versus what's the big picture. I still think you talk about pressure on some of these tech stocks. Tech is still going to take us to the next level in terms of growth. The spend on AI, it was interesting watching the Microsoft back and forth. That's still fundamentally going to work. Do we have to pause a bit? And by the way, the notional sizes that people have of some of these equities has gotten pretty large. To manage your risk going into earnings, like a big one tomorrow, and when the notional size becomes so significant, is tricky in a market that's filled with uncertainty and illiquidity.
Came out with that bad earnings report. I valued them about $90 before the election, before the market downturn, and they were trading at 108. Today they're trading at 128. So in terms of perspective, even with the beating, still $20 higher than it was in September of 2024. So I think that at that time I said the stock is a great company, but I don't see how you can get to $120, $130 per share.
Still?
No, I think that's still what I said then will still hold. They don't have the capacity in terms of generating earnings and cash flows to sustain a $3 trillion market cap. No. So I think that still stands. And I think as the earnings report comes out tomorrow, my expectation is going to be a lot like September. They will beat analyst expectations, but the market's going to be disappointed because the market seems to have set expectations higher than what analysts are seeing for the company.
They would say, Professor, have you seen the CapEx numbers of these hyperscalers, what they say they're going to spend? And a large part of that, if not the majority, is going to go to us.
In terms of revenues, it's about $500 billion in revenues. So even if you bring in all of the spending by Meta and Microsoft, that still gets you to maybe $300 billion, $350 billion. The market is actually building in a surplus over and above that of other people coming into the game and spending immense amounts. So this is not a question of, people are spending more than expected. That CapEx spending was already there in September. It scaled up. With DeepSeek, the question is, are there other people who might have entered the game who are not going to enter the game now because their response is, I don't need those Nvidia chips. For what I'm doing, I can get there with much cheaper chips.
You think that's a new risk? Have you been thinking about it differently the DeepSeek day?
No, in fact, I revalued it right after the DeepSeek.
You did. You think it's that profound of a change?
My value dropped by about $10 because, in my view, what it does, it reduces the total size of the segment of the AI market that needs high-powered chips and immense amounts of data. Because whether DeepSeek is a fake or whether it's going to pass by, what it opened people's eyes to, not all AI products and services need these incredibly powerful chips and huge amounts of data and huge data centers that you can get there with much cheaper devices. And I think for many companies, when they look at the AI products and services they have to develop, they don't need this high-powered stuff. They don't need to spend the tens of billions of dollars up front. So I think that's the real worry you have to have as an NVIDIA investor, is whether those people will now hold back and buy cheaper chips and build cheaper centers.
Did you, at the same time, while downgrading, for lack of a better word, Nvidia, did you upgrade something else?
Not yet, because I think what this is going to do is it's going to commoditize the product and service business. The AI product, we're all going to see more AI stuff because it's going to be cheaper and easier to deliver it. But I'm not sure any of us is going to be willing to pay for most of this stuff, because I look at the AI stuff that I'm being offered as a consumer, and my reaction, it's neat, it's cute, but I'm not paying $5 a month or $10 a month. It's different, I think, in the business AI segment. That's where the NVIDIA chips and the big data will continue to prosper. I don't see anybody benefiting from the commoditizing of the rest of the AI business, because it's going to be free stuff that everybody gets and nobody's able to make.
Going to a different economy, and we're going to be learning more about that as we go. But clearly, we're learning that things can be done from remote locations. We're learning that technology can replace people even more than we thought.
We're not going back to the same economy. We're recovering, but to a different economy, and it'll be one that is more leveraged to technology. And I worry that that is going to make it even more difficult than it was for many workers.
In Silicon Valley, and my friends who work in technology know that what we did to the manufacturing workers, we are now going to do to the retail workers, the call center workers, the fast food workers, the truck drivers, and then even bookkeepers, accountants, insurance agents, lawyers, and on through the economy. So what happened to the manufacturing workers is a very clear sign.
And so we'll import Chinese-based CBDC technology. So it's going to be CBDC in a box provided to you by the People's Bank of China. But every stock, every bond, every currency, every commodity, every piece of art, every private business, every piece of real estate will eventually be a token on a blockchain, an entry on a ledger, permanent and immutable. We will have truth instead of trust, and we will save over $7 trillion a year. 6 to 8% of global GDP is wasted by the friction of the trust industry that's necessary when you have dual entry accounting. With triple entry accounting, which is what a blockchain is, we get rid of all of that friction. It's a beautiful future.
Like what you see in China and their social credit scoring systems, right? If we get identity wrong, it could be a tool to enslave humanity. And if we get it right, it could be a tool to liberate humanity. And as an American, I'm obviously rooting for the one that's on the side of freedom.
Bitcoin is an international asset. And also, I do believe the role of crypto is, it's digitizing gold.
I actually believe this technology is going to be very important. Look at it. We have been part of the huge revolution in investing through ETFs. We believe that ETFs will be changing the whole way we invest. Many people still use it as a means, people are investing it for indexing. No, the majority of people who are putting money in ETFs are active investors that are buying exposure. The entire bond market is being transformed as we talk right now. I believe the next generation for markets, the next generation for securities will be tokenization of securities. And if we could have that distributed ledger that we know every beneficial owner, every beneficial seller, we all have our code of who's buying, who's selling, instantaneous settlement. And think about it, it changes the whole ecosystem.
Chinese bank ICBC has been hit by a ransomware attack, and the U.S. Treasury market, as a result of that, has been disrupted. This, according to the Financial Times. We're going to get more right now with Bloomberg's Shonali Bassick. Shonali, what do we know?
Listen, we have the Financial Times now reporting that ICBC, one of China's largest banks here, was hit with a ransomware attack. And remember, they're a very significant intermediary in the Treasury market. The SIFMA has told its members that this has been part of the reason here that the system is kind of clogged up, if you will, during that auction that we saw a little bit before. The attack had prevented ICBC, according to the Financial Times, from settling Treasury trades on behalf of other market participants. A large executive at a major bank also telling the paper that such a large party on the fixed income clearing corp creates major concerns, potentially impacting the liquidity of Treasury markets.
Now, it was not just a poor auction. It was absolutely lousy, and you know, when the dealers have to step in to save a Treasury auction, that's a rare occurrence. And
Cryptoteacher and the New World Order book, plus the 3 kids books. It's time to re-educate. Also, new to cryptos, Coinbase, Bitrue, Binance. Do not forget book links and crypto links are in the description. The stock channel, guys. Don't forget to go like, subscribe, spread everywhere. You have your Kobo, your chip stocks, your banking, your gaming. While everybody's sitting at home, get on stocks, the Seaver, the biotech stocks. And while everybody's at home wishing they were still getting that free money, what are they doing? Drinking and smoking weed. Don't forget about those stocks, and you have a wonderful day. The most powerful person in the world is the storyteller. The storyteller sets the vision, values, and agenda of an entire generation to come. Steve Jobs. And guys, you know I truly believe in this. When you look at the New World Order, they're the storytellers. And that's the reason why I wrote my New World Order book. But guys, now it's time to change the current generation. And I wrote 3 kids books. You know, I love the Trinity because I understand the power that's in it. So I have 3 books. We have an opportunity to change the generation, to educate, not just me, but I want to show you that I take action on a daily basis. And I want you to take action on a daily basis. Whether it's your job, whether it's in your community, we have an opportunity right now to educate the masses. I posted this on my Twitter account. Please share, but this is a short clip of the 3 books. There's going to be a clothing line and action figures. Please get these books for your kids, nephews, cousins, friends, so therefore we can start the re-education now. Because as we see, the 4th Industrial Revolution foundation is definitely here. Robots, algorithms, drones, taking humanity out the picture. We have to re-educate. But let's get into the video.
Part 1. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save the village. Part 2. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save New York from COVID-33. Part 3. King Joshua and Grandma Tam goes to China.
It's mandatory to get part 1, part 2, and part 3 of this series. It's time to re-educate Generation Z.